We all see Audrey Hepburn as the epitome of innocence, right? But was that real? And then there's Marilyn Monroe with her troubled reputation. You'd think these two ladies were total opposites, but in this video, I'll show you just how similar they actually were. But how? And, of course, why? I'll also reveal that troubled is fitting for Audrey too, especially when it comes to her love life. And let me warn you, it was downright terrible. Sex sells, and boy, did it make a lot of movies sell in old Hollywood. It was so wild that there had to be regulation, the Hays Code, that reined in actors, actresses, directors and producers from putting out sexual content. It is in this crazy era that Audrey Hepburn thrived, and she wasn't like the Marilyn Monroe of the time. Or was she? Well, you'll find out. But before we really dive deep, sign up for our newsletter now. Don't miss a single vintage tale. Link in the description. Her grace and gentility won people over. The actress had inner turmoil and a traumatic past of betrayal, which repeated itself in her present and prevented her from truly living. This is a tale of the greatest betrayal Audrey Hepburn suffered. There's only a little difference between Audrey Hepburn and Marilyn Monroe. There, I said it. Many people don't want to compare the two of them, but not me. The two are the different sides of the same coin. Marilyn only suffered because she was a little more overt with her dealings and wasn't nearly as posh as Audrey. Goodness gracious, Audrey was elegant. She was described as a swan, a gentle lady with a slim stature and a fawn-like face. In that regard she was different from Marilyn, who was considered to be voluptuous and had some respectable bazooms. Audrey was very aware of her body and felt odd in an era where starlets were associated with busts and curves. The actress felt inadequate as she felt rail-thin and her bosom flat. While Hepburn felt inadequate, the audience burned for her as she was different from Marilyn, who was too in-your-face for the audience sometimes. Speaking of burning like Marilyn, Hepburn had a lot of love and passion to give. The two stars were sensual, hopeless romantics with a portfolio of being in extramarital affairs, which sometimes involved their co-stars. Don't worry, I'll get into more details of Hepburn's affairs later on. Nonetheless, I'll tease some of the details a bit. While in a marriage with a disloyal husband and with rumours of his activities abound, the actress took a role in Fred Zinnemann's The Nun Story. It's safe to say Hepburn was a bad nun. She and the film's screenwriter Robert Anderson got close, and things got allegedly steamy. The two of them got into an affair, and it didn't seem like she was sorry about it. Another similarity between Hepburn and Marilyn was that they had abandonment issues, and while they seemed to be full of life, they were quite mournful. The interesting part was that the two of them were surrounded by love. Marilyn had friends who were there for her and made her feel loved, but rather than focus on the move they had, they chased the one that they didn't. Did they get what they craved? No. Can you see that the two of them aren't so different after all? The two starlets didn't have the love of a father. Hepburn's dad left when she was 6, and Marilyn didn't know hers until later on. Lacking father figures in their lives, the two stars always found relief in moving towards men older than them. Marilyn's was so bad that she sometimes called the men she was married to Daddy or Pa. At some point in her height of delusion, she even called a notable Hollywood star her father, and sometimes lied that her father was dead. He wasn't, and all her life she tried to reconnect with him. After searching for him and finding out where he was, the man rejected her. When she became a star, she tried multiple times to be a part of the man's life, and he rejected her. Each rejection chipped at Marilyn, and her mental health got worse. She wanted desperately to feel the void her father's absence left in her. Just as Marilyn did, Hepburn went to look for her dad. Her dad wasn't welcoming. For some reason the star thought that after 25 years of losing contact with her dad and him leaving the family, he would be eager to see her. The actress spent her resources tracking her father down to Ireland and visiting him. If she had known, she wouldn't have. True, when it came to talent, Hepburn shone brighter, and she even had awards to back it up. Despite this, the actress still dealt with feelings of whether she could measure up to the standard required of her. "I never thought I was a good actress," she complained. "I'm no Laurence Olivier, no virtuoso talent." Marilyn, who had the lesser talent, carried this feeling around her too. Her insecurity would cause her to use her acting coach as a crutch. It also didn't let her explore the depths of her career. There's another unfortunate similarity between Hepburn and Monroe. Both of them were desperate to start a family of their own, and the two of them suffered miscarriages which wrecked their mental health. The unfortunateness of their suffering drove the two over the edge and planted thoughts of ending everything in their heads. Again, you see that Hepburn wasn't quite the anti-Marilyn Monroe people thought she was. They were both filled with passion and sex-crazed. Did you know that Hepburn, the paragon of grace, had a tryst with a man and got caught? Oh, there's dirt on Hepburn, loads of it. Like Marilyn, Hepburn did get around a bit, but we are certain you would feel pity for her when you learn of her story. So, shall we? Audrey Kathleen Ruston, or Audrey Hepburn as we all know her, was born on May 4th, 1929, Brussels, Belgium, to a Baroness mother and a non-noble-born father. The actress had a very privileged early life, and her family moved around due to her father's job. They left Belgium for England and then to the Netherlands. The family's bliss came crashing down slowly when her parents began to make questionable decisions by supporting a powerful German whose name rhymes with Stickler. Her mother wrote favourable articles for the man, if only they knew the repercussions of their support, but they did come to know. When the actress was 6, her father packed his bags and skipped town abruptly after an unnamed trouble he faced in Belgium. This single event would leave a scar in the actress's life and negatively impact how she viewed relationships with men. But you already knew this. As she described it, "My father leaving was the first big blow I had as a child. It was a trauma that left a very big mark on me. It left me insecure for life." Her mother, in tears, told her daughter that her father had gone on a trip and wouldn't return. She would later preach about the need for children to have both parents. Oh, the irony! You'll see. Eventually her mother put her in a boarding school in London, where her father allegedly was, but he never once came to visit her. However, she wouldn't be in England for more than 3 years, as the Second World War happened. Now back in Netherlands, with the war underway, Audrey began to study ballet at the Arnhem Conservatory. However, ballet for her wasn't just ballet. She grew in skill and began to use her performances to raise money for the Netherlands resistance. Imagine the poetic justice. The man her parents gleefully wrote in favour of upended their lives, and the daughter became an instrument they used against him. The period was a difficult one for her. She had to change her name so she wouldn't be a target for the Germans in the war. Also, her family lost their fortune, and there was famine in the land. To survive, Audrey had to eat cakes and biscuits made from flour from tulip bulbs. However, she began malnourished and wouldn't grow well. In the end, she had jaundice, anemia, and a respiratory infection that almost took her life. The only reason she didn't was her mother trying everything she could to make sure her daughter would live, including contacting an old lover. She recovered from her illness, but it had done its damage. Audrey would no longer be a ballerina, as she had gotten too tall without the strength to go with it. Like that, her chapter as a ballerina closed. However, she had luck as she slowly began to act. Her film debut came in Dutch in 7 Lessons, an educational travel film that Charles van der Linden and Henry Josephson made, where she played an air stewardess. Audrey Hepburn took part in different theatre productions, with her more aristocratic mother supporting her dream by working menial jobs. She even performed in nightclubs as she continued to improve her craft, even training her voice. In 1953 she got a role that surprised her. She even beat the already iconic Elizabeth Taylor to the part. Thorold Dickinson cast her in her first major supporting role in The Secret People. After shooting the film, Thorold sent Hepburn's screen test to director William Wyler, who said that he had discovered a potential star. Wyler had a film coming up, Roman Holiday, and he was in Rome for preparation. As a result of the test, a number of the producers at Paramount have expressed interest in casting her, Wyler said. The producer, who wanted Elizabeth Taylor for the lead role of Princess Anne, a European princess who escapes the confines of royalty and has a wild night out with an American journalist, didn't mind when the director cast Hepburn for the role instead. The actress was so impressive that her male lead asked that the actress be given the same billing as his. According to him, "She'll be a big star, and I'll look like a big jerk." Her career shot up after the Roman holiday, and so did her emotional ruin. You see, Audrey hasn't always been lucky with men. She got engaged to nobleman James Hanson, and while she was on the set of Roman Holiday, she was planning her wedding. Well, that was until Hanson dropped a bombshell on her. He told her that when they married, she would quit her career and become a full housewife. Hepburn was having none of that and told the nobleman off. Besides, she had big things ahead of her. After starring and having a breakthrough with Roman Holiday, she was going to star in what would be her biggest movie yet. Excited as she was, Hepburn was also wary. She didn't feel beautiful enough to be a leading woman for actors like Humphrey Bogart and William Holden. The movie she was to star in with those guys was Sabrina, and it was about a girl who was the centre of attraction between two brothers, a love triangle. And as the actress would come to see, sometimes movies aren't that far off from reality. Audrey suddenly remembered that she felt unattractive and was different from the big Hollywood women at the time. She felt she wouldn't be charming enough. However, Billy Wilder, Sabrina's director, was so sure of Hepburn's talent that he claimed she would change how people saw Hollywood women. He was right. Still, it didn't take away the fear that she didn't fit in, and we'll tell you this, that fear was completely unfounded, but if you look at it from her perspective, you can understand her a bit. Here she was wearing simple clothes and flat shoes, while the other Hollywood women wore expensive jewellery and sequined clothes. They were the definition of glamour. She was Audrey Hepburn, a failed ballerina who just happened to become an actress. Despite feeling odd, Audrey was the centre of attraction in Hollywood, so much that the wife of the great founder of movie makers, MCA, Jules Stein, organised a Welcome to Hollywood gala in Audrey's honour. Not many people commanded that kind of respect. Even with the welcome, the elegant actress felt she wouldn't live up to expectations and buried her worries by burning one cigarette after the other and drowning herself in her own tears. So filming came, and it wasn't Hepburn that would be the odd one out. It was the veteran Humphrey Bogart, and he unknowingly played a part in what would be Audrey's most tasking moments. Bogart led the actress to him. Now, you see, Hepburn was wary of William Holden, even if she secretly thought he was the most handsome man she had ever seen. She had heard everything about how he chased after everything in a skirt despite being married. On the other hand, William had seen the actress's work and was drawn to her. The veteran actor was worried he wouldn't have chemistry with Audrey. Imagine two talented people so full of doubts. It was a new one for William, as he was always fearless right from when he was a child. Bogart must have had his insecurities because he displayed less than the gentlemanly behaviour towards his co-stars. Did you know that after the first day of filming, Bogart invited the cast and crew to his trailer for drinks, except for Hepburn, Holden and director Wilder? Holden, never one to back down from a fight, did the same thing too, and like that, the set had two factions. Bogart told Hepburn he didn't like her by spitting when they had kiss scenes. Slowly the actress moved towards the big, strong, handsome Holden, who acted like he was her protector. He wasn't protecting her virtue, I'll tell you that. The actress forgot her vow not to have anything to do with Holden. Soon they began to have dinner together, where they caught up about their day. Then the two began to make each other laugh, brightening up when the other came to the room. Soon it wasn't just dinners and laughs, it became intimate, with trysts anywhere they could do it. Hepburn forgot Holden was married, and she also got careless. Someone from the set caught them. It was Ernest Lehman, who came to deliver scene changes. Now, Ernest could have sung like a canary, but even he felt what the two shared was more than a fling. It was sweet. Holden would go out of his way to look for spots no one used, and Hepburn would dance for him to his apparent delight. Things were going well until Ardis, Holden's wife, heard rumours. Now, she wasn't a stranger to what her husband did, and as was customary, he brought the women he had affairs with for her to assess. Ardis met Hepburn, and while Hepburn felt guilty, she was ready to compete for Holden's attention. Ardis sensed danger and told her husband not to see Hepburn. He refused. The actress was already planning marriage, and Holden was ready to leave his wife for her. That was until he dropped a bombshell on her head. Any time Hepburn talked about babies, Holden often kept quiet. One day he revealed the reason. He had gotten a vasectomy. Audrey Hepburn heard her heart burn into pieces and immediately ended her relationship with Holden. He did everything to get her back, but she wasn't having it. She felt betrayed and used. In her hurt she met Mel for her. Actually, the two had met before, and in her pain she got reacquainted with him. Mel was the man the actress needed. He was attentive and romantic. He was just like Holden and fit nicely with the actress. Unfortunately, he changed. Mel proposed, and despite the two not knowing each other long enough and that she was still hurting, Audrey accepted. She just wanted to start a family. She would find out this was difficult. She suffered multiple miscarriages before she gave birth to her first son, Sean. However, her marriage would not be blissful. While she was on the rise, her husband's career began to die off, and he envied her. Mel became mean and began to cheat on the actress till she decided that it was enough. Hepburn had hoped to have a family where both parents would be present, but unfortunately it wasn't to be. Her marriage to Mel failed, and so did her next one. However, the father of her children may not have been there. She had what she wanted the most: kids. The actress lived her life on her terms, eventually dying of cancer in her 60s, and we wonder, did she regret the life she lived, or was she contented in the end? Here's something I've recently started doing that's had a big impact on how I see glamorous Hollywood. I've never experienced true intimacy with a man. This quote caught my attention, and in the next video I'll reveal everything behind Jane Fonda's strange statement.